Let's move on. Let's move on to, I think, what has been one of the most amusing, frankly, stories out of the U.S. for a while. And gosh, haven't we needed a bit of that? Jussie Smollett, the disgraced American actor who hoaxed America, or at least those gullible enough to believe it, when he faked a hate crime against himself. Well, he's in more trouble. Now, even if he isn't jailed for his crimes, which he was convicted 5 out of 6 charges last week, he might have to pay back the city of Chicago the costs incurred by the Chicago Police Department, which could be over $100,000. Parnell, do you reckon that this is a fair punishment for somebody who has basically hoaxed an entire city, and a city, by the way, with a pretty high murder rate, where the police should be spending their time investigating other things than fake hate crimes against actors on a show nobody watches?
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, that's an expectation, a basic expectation of any misuse of an emergency service, that you pay the cost of having that call out, because it's such an important service in our society, is having police or ambulances or any emergency service that can come quickly. And it's a cost that the taxpayer bears gladly, because it might one day be you or somebody that you love. So this is a really outrageous abuse of that system for such a self-serving end. So yes, he should have to pay it back. He should have to pay it back in full, and I'm very glad that he's having to pay it back very publicly as well.
Well, indeed, but of course, if he does wind up going to jail, the cruelest thing is that he will have to share a cell with his attacker. Anyway, in one of the worst kept secrets in Australian U.S. diplomatic circles, U.S. President Joe Biden has nominated Caroline Kennedy, daughter of former President John F. Kennedy, and his wife Jacqueline, to become the next U.S. ambassador to Australia. The position has been vacant since January 2020, when Arthur Culverhouse, a Trump appointee, left. Now, Caroline Kennedy is a very accomplished woman in her own right, but keeps being thought of in terms of her family and not in her achievement. Louise, do you think that her Kennedy background will be a help or hindrance for her in her role in Australia? And do you think that maybe the press should focus more on her own achievements rather than those of her famous parents?
Well, the reason we're initially interested in Caroline Kennedy is because she's a Kennedy, because she's their sole surviving child. And I think having a famous family, even one considerably, uber famous as the Kennedys, can open doors for you. But really, it's down to her expertise and her personality and her skill set to keep those doors open and to have a flourishing career. So I think, yes, I'm interested in her because she's a Kennedy, but I do take stock of her experience, which she's got from hard work and, through her own education and contacts, and just generally just being the sort of right person for that job, for a diplomatic post. So I think it will help her. I think it will certainly bode well for American-Australian relations, for sure. There's a lot of sympathy and affection for the Kennedy legacy in this country, I feel.